Good morning, YouTube. Today we're going to talk about deposits.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan, and this is our dealership, MG Supercars. And one of the things that is sometimes contentious when buying Ferraris is whether or not to put a deposit on the car to secure it. So we had an incident recently, and I want to talk all about that, tell you my story, tell you some of the other incidents we've dealt with related to deposits. And I want to get your opinion. And actually, that's what I'm really curious about is I'm doing this video because I want to know what you think, because I want to do a better job and I want our company to be better. So I want to figure out what makes the most sense to make everyone happy. So let's talk about that. But before we do me a favor, go to mgsupercars.com, our dealership website, where you might be able to give us a deposit on a car, or go to normalguysupercar.com, our parts and services website. We do appreciate all of your support. And of course, you could like, share, and subscribe. All those things help us out. Okay, deposits. Yeah, it's weird. Okay, quick story time before we get into it. I was trying to buy a car this week. I was trying to buy a Ferrari F430. And when I made a deal with the selling dealership, I said, great, I'm going to fly out there on Wednesday. I would like to come inspect it before I buy it. Can you hold it for me with a deposit? And they said, no, we don't do deposits. I said, okay, that's a problem. How about, can you just hold it because I have a plane ticket and I'll send you my itinerary? And they said, nope, we don't do that either. We don't hold cars for anyone. I said, okay, well, I guess I'll just have to take that risk because I'm not going to buy a car sight unseen. We just don't do that. That is a hard rule in our company. We do not buy Ferraris sight unseen. We do not buy expensive cars sight unseen. We'll buy some of the cheaper stuff sight unseen because there's less risk. But I'm not taking a risk on a car that could have a swing in value of over $40,000 based on what is or is not wrong with the car. It's just not a good idea. So the next day, this was on Monday, made an agreement. The next day, the day before I'm supposed to fly out there, they called me in the morning and say, hey, just to let you know, we have someone coming to look at the car today. And I said, okay, well, what do I need to do to get you guys to tell him to fuck off because I want this car? And they're like, oh, well, you can't, like, he's coming, blah, blah, blah. And so there was nothing I could do. Well, they called me late at night, Tuesday night, and said, hey, he bought it, it's sold. Which is bullshit because now they have the leverage of knowing I want the car. They have someone coming, and so they can say to that guy, hey, if you don't buy it today, this other guy's going to buy the car. And so it's kind of bullshit because they're using my position as leverage to sell the car. And funny enough, I found out when they called me and said it was sold, I went online and I noticed they increased the price by $16,000. So that's what was really going on is they didn't like the price that they agreed to with me, and they could use my position as leverage to get more money for their car, which I thought was kind of scummy. So anyway, it left a bad taste in my mouth, and obviously I'm never going to fucking do business with them again. Honestly, we can't, because why would we ever waste our time with them if they can't hold a car for us? By the time I book tickets and stuff, I could be screwed and I'm out tickets. And that's the really shitty part is without that situation, I could get screwed as the buyer. So that brings up some questions of to deposit or not to deposit. Or how do you hold these cars? Or what is the right thing to do when it comes to these cars? Because let's be real, a lot of you are like me and want to see the car first or arrange a PPI or something. Now, the majority of dealerships that we work with so far historically have taken deposits. Now, there's various forms of deposits. Again, some of them just say, show me your itinerary, showing that you got a flight, and we'll hold it for you as like a courtesy for up to a certain amount of time. Most places are only willing to hold cars for, I'm going to say anywhere from 3 to 5 business days. So basically, best case scenario, a week, worst case scenario, a couple days. So you're buying a plane ticket that's going to be really expensive if you're going to go out there and look at it. You got to get there really quick, which is, I mean, that's totally reasonable to be, because the thing is, as a business, they can't sit here and hold this car forever waiting for you to buy it or not buy it. Because there's an opportunity cost. The longer that car sits there, the more interest they pay, the more insurance they're paying, the lost opportunity for other buyers, the fact that that car is now sitting there taking up floor space. It's also the money's tied up, so they can't go buy another car. That's at least some of the problems we face when we have cars that are sitting there waiting for someone to make a decision. The other thing is, not only do some of them take deposits, the deposit size ranges all over the board. We've seen as cheap as $1,000, as much as $25,000. So I don't know. I don't know what's the right number. I feel like just a small amount of money is reasonable just to make sure that someone's actually got some skin in the game. And that's kind of how we currently operate. All right, so the way we've done our deposits historically is we usually ask for $1,000 or $2,000. And here's the thing that some people get mad about is we say it's non-refundable. Now, why is it non-refundable? Because what's the point of a deposit if it's refundable? It's literally just you sending me some money so I could send it back to you and waste my time. It doesn't make any sense to me. But that's also why we keep it really small. In fact, lately we've just been doing $1,000 because whatever. Like, the whole point is, basically, you're buying time from us, which means you're paying for my interest, you're paying for my insurance, you're paying for all my costs so that you can have about a week to figure out if you're going to buy that car. Now, what that does is we take that very seriously. We lock that price in and we say the car is no longer available. So other people, obviously, if they ask about the car, we say it has a deposit, it is pending a deal, we'll take backups, because if you say no, then the next person is next in line, it's their opportunity. But some people get mad and say, oh, why is it non-refundable? If I don't like the car, I should get my money back. Well, I mean, honestly, the number of times that people have done that is zero. So that's the total times that people have come here, looked at a car and said, oh, you know what? It's actually not what I expected. And so I want my deposit back. Now, theoretically, if someone came out here and if they inspected the car and found something that we totally missed and we're not aware of, I absolutely would be like, you know what? We screwed up. Here's your money back. That's on us. But if they come here and they're like, oh, you know what? I want $1,000 less, or I want to negotiate after we've already agreed upon a price. Because that's the thing, is we don't take a deposit until we have a agreed upon price. Like, you're coming here, you're going to want to buy this car at an agreed upon price. If you now change that price, I'm going to say no. And if you say, well, I want my deposit back because I want it for a different price, that's where, no, too bad. You locked in your price. You locked it in. What is it that, I don't know why they're changing their mind. A lot of people think that, oh, if I just negotiate in person, they can get a different price. So that's different. Now, again, if you see something that's totally missed, something we totally whiffed on, I think that's reasonable. Yeah, get your money back. We screwed up. We missed something. That's, again, never happened. But, I mean, it's entirely possible we could miss some defect in the car or something. I don't know. But if it's just because you're like, oh, you know what? I changed my mind. I don't like red. Or, you know what? I want it for cheaper or something. No, that's not going to fly. So that's how we work. And a lot of the other companies say similar things. They don't explicitly say it's non-refundable, but they'll say like, oh, if the car is not what you expect, we'll give you your money back. And that's, I think, kind of like the generic terms. But effectively, most of these places are probably going to keep your money if, for some reason, you walk away from the deal. Like, one example would be, what happens if you're trying to buy the car and you agree to it and then you can't get financing? That's not my problem. I pulled the car off the market in good faith that you were going to buy the car from us at an agreed upon price. And if you can't get your shit together or the banks won't approve you or something like that, that's stuff you should have figured out before making the offer. It's like if you go buy a house. If you're going to go buy a house, you make an offer on a house, they have earnest money, right? If you back out of the deal, you lose the earnest money. That's on you. It's not on the seller. So it's the same thing for us. We operate in that way with our deposits. Now, we've also taken plane tickets as deposits. We've done that too. Like, someone's like, oh, they live, somewhere else that's far away. They want to come see the car and verify it's good. A plane ticket shows that they're serious, and I'm fine with that. Like, yeah, they don't have actual money on the table, and theoretically, if they walked away, we would lose that opportunity cost and the interest and all that stuff. But you know what? If they're spending the effort to fly out here, they're probably serious enough that they're going to buy the car. Again, like, the vast majority of the time, people look at the cars, they take a test drive or whatever, and they're happy, and they say, "Yep, I want it." In fact, I can't really think of too many times that I don't know if it's ever happened for us. Okay, so that's kind of how we do our thing. We've seen all sorts of stuff from other companies. And I don't know what's the best solution. I don't know what makes the most sense, because the dealerships have to do what they need to do to protect themselves. And I think that's reasonable to make, you're running a business, you have to do things that protect your business. And sometimes that means people won't like those policies, but you got to do what you got to do. I'm trying to think of other examples of things that are kind of like, people get upset about. Like if you have to return something after you buy it, for example, we can't refund the credit card charges or other fees that we may have lost on that product. So if you buy something from our website, it's right in our terms of service that you don't get your credit card fees back, and you may not get some other fees back. And we say it's up to 15%. People get really mad when that happens. Oh man. But it's crap, because if you buy something from me and you pay with your credit card, and then I go purchase that item, and then you change your mind and cancel your order, I might have restocking fees from my vendor. I've absolutely lost those credit card fees, and I can't get those back. So even if you bought something and then immediately turned around and said, oh, I changed my mind, like 10 seconds later, I'm out those fees no matter what. And it's like 3+%. So if you spend $100, I'm out $3, no matter what. I can't get that money back. So I can't just go giving it to you. Now, so people get all upset about that. It's the same thing with deposits, I think. Again, I would assume if someone had a non-refundable deposit and they changed their mind or couldn't get financing, they'd be very mad at us, but it hasn't happened yet. I hope we don't have to deal with that. Oh, Lord, I'm sure that's going to be a really fun conversation with that person of why we're keeping their deposit. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts when you're trying to buy expensive things like this? Do you want dealers to be able to take a deposit? And effectively, that's buying you some time, which is what we want. We need a couple days. I need some time to be able to get out there and go look at the car, because it's never local. This is so rare that we actually buy a local car. It's always remote, so we always have to go fly and look at something. And I think it's idiotic to spend 6 figures on something that you have not seen in person. It just doesn't make sense to me, like especially when they're 25-year-old things that have all sorts of various maintenance histories and weird issues that could happen. If people didn't take care of them, they could be in far worse condition than other ones, and so on and so on. So there's so many different things that could be true about these cars that cause the value of it to swing wildly. So it's, well, do you think deposits, yes, no? Do you think airline tickets, good enough? Refundable, non-refundable? And of course, the problem from the buying side is I've asked this before, and everyone's like, oh, they should take deposits, but it should be refundable. And I'm going to argue that absolutely makes no sense at all. What is it that it's not a deposit? It's literally like a temporary loan of money. Like, you have no skin in the game. You have absolutely no skin in the game because it's refundable. In fact, it could be worse than that. It could be a loss because, again, you could have fees or whatever, like a wire fee or something. So, I don't know. I think what we do is pretty fair and reasonable. I've never had a problem with other companies asking for deposits. Now, we've had a couple that wanted massive deposits. Like I said, $25,000+. I think that's crazy. That's insane. And again, if it's refundable, what's the point of that deposit? So I just threw a huge pile of money at you to hold this car for me, but there's no repercussions if I fly out there, look at the car and say, I don't want this car. I don't know. It's weird. I guess maybe the $25,000, like a big deposit, could be more showing that you can actually afford this thing. Maybe that's what their play is. It's like, oh, if someone doesn't have $25,000, they shouldn't be buying a $250,000 car. I could see that. Honestly, especially if you're financing, most of the banks are going to want at least a 10% deposit. So that could be, I guess, their move strategically, is at least it's kind of like maybe better guaranteeing the financing. Well, it was an interesting experience this week. It sucked because we ended up not getting the car, and I'm sad about that. I wanted the car. It is what it is. Let me know in the comments below. Deposits, no deposits, refundable, non-refundable, airline tickets good enough for deposit, or is there some other way to do this that I'm totally unaware of? And if so, I'm open to that conversation because I would like to be fair and reasonable But again, I have to do things that protect the company as well and protect my business. So it can't just be totally one-sided in favor of the customer. And the other problem is we actually tried briefly doing non-deposits, like no deposits. And the problem with that is then it's like first come, first serve. And we've actually run into where you have multiple paperwork out and 2 people sending the money in very short succession. So then you get this second person sending the money and you have to send their money back. It's like we literally got a wire and then got a wire like a little bit later before like we could tell them that we got the first wire. And imagine that, like calling up that person saying, hey, thanks for sending us 250 grand. Yeah, it's not your car and we're going to send that money back to you. They spent the energy going getting all their finances sorted. They sent the wire, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they're going to be pissed, really pissed. So, and that person was. And it was a bad experience, and that's what I don't like about that. Deposit locks you in, gives you first shot at it, makes it so that you feel comfortable trying to get your stuff in order, and you don't have to stress out about like, oh crap, someone else is going to sneak in and buy this thing under me. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. We do appreciate the support. Again, check out normalguyssupercar.com, ngsupercars.com. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. We're going to be doing a lot of cool car stuff. You're going to want to stay tuned. It's going to be sweet.